Hey, this is Gavin Palmer, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to our channel, as the large language model prompted. And I want to focus on the responsibility of having a channel. And so in doing that, I'm going to point at a technique that Griswold Grimm channel does, where he has encouraged people to make clips. And I'm going to go over some of my favorite clips I've clipped recently because they tie into the importance of what you put out of your mouth and what you're responsible for. So here we go. Oh, and I just took off my shirt because, the large language model said that I asked it how I could appear to be less threatening and more trustworthy. So I put on the collar. I've heard some people talk about wearing collars. My friend Jacob Facciarecci has recommended people to wear a collar. And not me, because I'm not, the kind of person that he thinks should wear a collar, but he's never specifically told me to. But I decided I'd wear a collar, so maybe I got you, where maybe you trust me more because I wear that collar. So I do host some live streams, and I prompted Hezi Spiro with an idea that he appears to be like a pastor, because and this pastoring activity seems important. And he basically translated that into the word shepherd. And, when you have an audience who reads your stuff, who listens to you, you are serving or acting as a kind of shepherd, which is very important. So let's listen to what Hezi has to say in this clip that I made.
A shepherd requires many skills, both dealing with the individual sheep or part of the herd, the full herd, following them, physical strength, being aware of the seasons, being aware of boundaries. So there's a lot to learn from being a shepherd. So I could only hope that if I had the chance to have a herd, I would take care of them well.
All right, so you've got the shepherd, you've got sheep that might wander, you have predators that might come in, you've got the climate that can change, and you're looking out for the well-being. And so pay attention to what you put out. I really liked what Hezi said there. So my next clip is from Alan Watts, and the point he's trying to make may be different than the one I'm trying to make. But let's listen to it, and then I'll tell you the point I'm trying to make with this clip.
If what you define as you is inseparable from everything which you define as not you, just as front is inseparable from back, then you realize that deep down between self and other there is some sort of conspiracy.
So a conspiracy means that we breathe together. And I've recognized recently that everything I am is based on all of the inspirations from everything else. And so when we put out content and when we broadcast, ideas and information, and we point at people, we have to be very careful because those become inspirations. It becomes deeply connected to who we are, right? As you consume this content, I am shaping you in some way. And if I point you at someone else, I already pointed you at Griswold Grimm, there's a chance he's going to shape you in some way. Be aware of this, at least. And if you are a content producer, be very aware of this. So this next clip is from the first conversation I had, publicly. It was on the Sorting Myself Out YouTube channel. It's when I first met someone who goes by Mercury Black, another one who goes by Griswold Grimm. And I think that Mercury has some very good things to say here that's relevant to the point I'm trying to make.
I really realized how much you can't be around someone else without them having a certain amount of mind control over you. Like, unless you're alone or a highly controlled, like, guru that you can control your attention, if someone speaks, you can't help but hear them. If I say purple elephant with a stupid green hat, like, you guys couldn't help it. That was mind control. I put that in your fucking heads. And I love Peterson's idea of we need to be more careful how we speak. I think there's something really deep to every thought is a prayer. Like, God hears everything, and everything you say is a spell. Um, so I try my best to, with my attention, with my conversation, and everything, to be on the side of good with everything I say.
So when I, host a live stream and allow just anyone to come in, it's like, what are they going to say? And how much responsibility do I have for what they say? And so we're fumbling about in this space on the internet with so much power to be able to share ideas and point people in different directions and inspire them and toward the good and the bad. And so this is all leading up to something I want to point out, right? So let's keep going. Okay, and this next clip is another Hezi. I titled it "Telling Sons About Mammoth Hunting," and the point is, it's like we should try not to be so lazy. We have this in our modern world where we have the opportunity to be very lazy, but it's we should not be as lazy as we are. So I'm going to play Hezi again.
I tell this to my son when he tells me he's like lazy about something. He's going to be turning 9. And I tell him, Billy, do you understand in your age, you were hunting for mammoth with me already? So, like, don't tell me you're too lazy to pick up your socks from the floor, right? Because we were hunters. It's built into you. You're not too weak. This is just like a modern facade of laziness on top of it. Okay, now.
And so I see a lot of laziness in relationship to the way we speak and the way we act and what we point at. That's the whole thing I'm leading up to. I'm going to point at someone that I really appreciate. And I'm not even sure if I should call him Teo or Tayo, but I am calling him an ambassador. You know, I'm looking for people who want peace, who are able to listen to people they disagree with, because this is the only way we can have peace, is if we identify ambassadors who can go and love people they disagree with, learn to speak their language in order to understand them. This is the only way we have peace in the world. So, and in order to do that, we have to be able to identify the peacemakers. We have to be able to identify those who are able to love their enemies. You know, the ambassadors. I wish I could call them Christians, but that word has just been, it's not the right word, because there are only a few people within Christianity who are ambassadors, who are the peacemakers. And there are people like that in many religions. So here we go, Ambassador Teo. So before I play this one, I just want you to know the context is that the person on the right, Sterling, had a disagreement with Jacob Facciarecci, and they were not able to have any kind of productive conversation. And so, what I'm saying is Sterling and Jacob are not ambassadors. They are not those who are able to love their enemies. They are not peacemakers. But Teo is, and I want you. And there's reasons why he is, and it has everything to do with being inspired by everything else. You know, he just has happened to live a life in which he has been formed into an ambassador. It's not his own doing. It's just the way he was made, the way the Creator made him. So let's look at the role of the ambassador, who has the responsibility of making peace in the world. It's a very important role. So I hope you enjoy it.
I appreciate people that engage in conversation with people they disagree with, and you're doing that. So
Wouldn't it be a better place if we all appreciated that the way that you do?
I think
Yeah.
this corner is for people like that. So yeah, I think
So, all right, then let's move on. Let's move on. I
Yeah.
agree. Sure.
Yeah.
Even though do something opposite, that's copying. Sure, yeah. Let's move on from that. Let's don't admit that maybe we were wrong. Let's just keep going.
All right. Let's or shoot. Let's stay on this a little bit and see if you and I can now make better headway through that model that you two got stuck on
Thank
and
you.
you managed to.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to repeat back to you my understanding of the point you're trying to make, and you tell me how wrong or how right I am.
This is just true, good, beautiful. You don't see this in the world. Point me at people who can do this, who can do what Ambassador Teo did, because we need to just start connecting all the ambassadors so we can try to create more peace in the world. Now, you know, what happened with Sterling and Jacob is they have like sacred words and they stand by their words so much that they won't even allow other people to use words in different ways. So even though it sounds like we speak the same language, in fact, all humans speak a unique language, even if they sound like they're speaking English. It's because every word means something different to every human. Teo understands this. Now, Sterling and Jacob might actually admit they understand it too. But the way they participate, they aren't participating in a way in which they are trying to understand the way the other person uses words. And when Teo says that's what we do in this little corner, he might be biased by, I've tried to say what I'm trying to do is learn how to disagree. I want us to learn how to disagree, which means I want us to learn how to create more peace in the world. But I think that we have to actually recognize that ambassador archetype. We can practice embodying it, but we also have to be able to identify people who aren't good at it. Okay. Now, I need to tie all this back in with kind of the reason I created this video. So the reason I created this video was related to this idea of securing distributed cognition. My friend Jacob likes this phrase. Other people might use a phrase like sense making. And so what Jacob will do is he will outsource his cognition to an expert. Maybe it's Thomas Sowell. He has he's been holding up a guy named Joseph as an expert in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Recently I noticed, Paul Vanderklay upheld, Sam Adams is not his real name, that's what he goes by, as some kind of an expert in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so Jacob has a platform and is able to point at people and ideas. Very powerful. Paul Vanderklay has a platform. They are connected to people who have larger platforms. And at the end of the day, it's very challenging for these people who are influencers, who are pastors and shepherds. It's very challenging for them to know who to trust. And so I explored this concept with the large language model. I'm going to go through it very quickly. I told the large language model, I have a friend who wants secure distributed cognition because he knows that humans must outsource cognition to other humans. What are the risks and benefits? Benefits: collective intelligence, increased efficiency, resilience, learning opportunities. Risks: groupthink, coordination challenges, loss of individual accountability, privacy, and security concerns. I would say I would focus on the coordination challenge. This is the thing that the influencers in the world just aren't good at. This is where I hope AI helps in helping to identify those who deserve more trust, those who, because we're humans, we make mistakes, and we will often trust people that when we could be trusting someone else who deserves more trust. And that's the coordination challenge. And then I say, I know a person who has distributed his cognition to individuals. He distributes his cognition to an economist. He thinks there are fields in which people can learn everything there is to know in that field, like economics. Are there fields of study in which a single human being can know everything there is to know in that field? If so, list those fields. The large language model basically says no, but then points at some and says, historical languages are scripts. So you might have an expert who is an expert at a specific historical language. My father used to say, he knew a watermelon seed expert. And so if the scope is very small, you might know everything there is to know, but then that knowledge can change. So even the watermelon seed expert has to update his knowledge because you will have new strains of watermelon that emerge. But, as far as historical languages, the rate of change in that body of knowledge would be slower. Because it would depend on like discoveries, archaeological digs and things like that. Then you have local history or folklore, traditional crafts or skills, specific games or puzzles. And it is important to note that even in these more specialized areas, knowledge is not static. New information, interpretations, or techniques can emerge, and it would be necessary for an individual to stay updated. So here's the key: is you have to be distributing your cognition to people who are staying on top of that knowledge. You have to figure out, are they actually interested in it? So when Paul Vanderklay distributes cognition to Sam Adams and points his audience at Sam Adams and his ideas, is Sam Adams actually interested? Is he most interested in artificial intelligence and machine learning, or is he most interested in something else? And so that's a very important point, because if the body of knowledge is changing faster than every other body of knowledge in the world at this time, and if that is going to have the most significant influence in the world of any body of knowledge that has ever existed before, if that's true, we're dealing with some significant misleading of the shepherds. The shepherds might very much be misleading people. And then when Jacob Facciareci points at Joseph, and Joseph, the question is he actually interested in the artificial intelligence and machine learning? It's like, are they producing content and staying on top? Are you running tests? This is important. Because I've heard Jacob Facciareci explain the importance of tests. We aren't doing the testing to determine the people's expertise and how well they're staying on top of the body of knowledge as it changes. So, there are some fields in which the body of knowledge changes faster than others. Can you list out the fields in which the body of knowledge is changing faster than all other fields of study? And it says, number 1, artificial intelligence and machine learning. I was satisfied when it aligned with me, although there is a fella who says that, this technology is a mirror. And, I consider, is this just mirroring me, or is this true? Because, and the person who says that it is a mirror, I don't think he's trustworthy, even though there are many people trusting this person. It's a very important problem that we have, where people are trusting in those who are not deserving of trust. This securing distributed cognition problem is very important. The person who uses the phrase and the people who talk about sense making, they have not figured it out. I think artificial intelligence can help, but it's going to take us not being lazy. Like when Hezi's telling his 9-year-old that we used to hunt mammoths, you can pick your socks up off the floor. It's like, let's not be so lazy, influencers. Name your influencer. Okay? Number 2, biotechnology and genomics. Number 3, nanotechnology. Number 4, renewable energy. Number 5, neuroscience. Number 6, quantum computing. Number 7, space exploration. Number 8, climate science. Number 9, cybersecurity. Number 10, virtual and augmented reality. I'd put cybersecurity up higher, virtual and augmented reality higher. Technology is changing so much faster than like an actual like climate science, for example. I don't know if it should be above the other two. So then I said, if I want to secure my distributed cognition, how should I determine which voices are more knowledgeable than others? So, credentials, this is where you need testing. And there's a question of how good are the tests. Diverse sources, so you probably don't want to just trust one person. You probably need to account for multiple sources. And maybe you are wanting someone who is doing these things. Like, number 3, stay updated with reputable publications. Yeah, there's journals that get put out, but then, and so it's good to be aware of those. Your expert should be aware of those. Number 4, engage with online communities. There are a lot of new online communities. Some are more superficial, and those are the most popular. But then there are some that are very specialized, because we're on the cutting edge of a new era. and we're on the ground floor, and it's changing quickly, and you have the opportunity to get involved. And I would encourage you to do so. Number 5, attend conferences and workshops. So yeah, we could pay people to go to conferences and workshops, take notes, come back and help teach us what they learn at these conferences and workshops. Number 6, monitor industry developments. This is huge. I mean, the industry is changing very quickly, like daily. And, you know, are you delegating your cognition to people who aren't aware of the daily changes? And you probably are. You're probably delegating to people who aren't aware, because you're probably delegating to people who are more interested in the things you're interested in, which that's a mistake, right? You actually need to find people who are interested in things you're not interested in, which seems weird. This is the importance of diversity. Continuous learning. This is where they need to be good. They need to be doing activities with the new technologies, doing the hands-on learning. It's not just reading books and reading those journals. Like, are they actually building new technology and able to build things that's never been built before, using the tools that are emerging and learning about the tools? Number 8, analyze critical thinking skills. I mean, I trust that a lot of these influencers are doing this, but it's number 8 on the list. And it's just above number 9, be open to new information. And so you, the audience, pay attention to your influencers who are providing inspirations, who are breathing inspiration into you. Are they paying attention to new information? Do they have critical thinking skills? You know, are they delegating their cognition to people who are not actually interested in the topic where the delegation is happening? People are making mistakes. These influencers are making mistakes. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, put in the comments. Y'all have a good one.